Good evening once again, everyone. This is Hell's Unicorn reporting to you live from the darkened and murky forests of William Penn after a 3-month hiatus to give you my views of the day. And actually, I'm basically giving my views of recent news, or at least somewhat recent news. I'm going to be a little late on the uptake here because I've basically had some commitments that have eaten up all of my video making time up until now, but I digress. So everybody is probably aware about the recent hacking of the university emails that occurred over in England. It seems a long known to be lie by yours truly has been revealed to be as such now to the general public, or at least those to the general public with a working mind of their own and the ability to read through a few lousy emails, which apparently excludes such supposed experts in the field as Thunderfoot, or as I've come to refer to him as, Thunderpussy. But anyway, once again, I'm digressing. So, what we have here, after a couple of days of disseminating, which I've done looking through these emails, is proof positive that this is all a big scam. Yes, a hoax, a lie, a complete fabrication. Break out your pocket thesaurus and think of maybe 4 or 5 other terms. They will apply. Make sure that they're synonymous with the ones that I provided, of course, but anyway, it's all BS. And anyone who thinks otherwise is either stupid, has an agenda, or probably both, in the case of Al Gore in particular. But anyway, to those of you out there who are skeptics of us skeptics, I've provided a couple links in the sidebar to kind of whet your appetite for the truth a little bit. And I'm actually going to visit one of these links for you just to kind of get you going, because I know that you guys don't like reading a whole lot, you global warming cultists, so I'm just going to go to this one. This is a little website that I like to refer to as 15 Reasons Why You Should Not Believe in Man-Made Global Warming, but the actual title of the article is Global Warming is Fake, How You Can Tell. Alright. Now this was written about a year ago, and a lot of the stuff provided, the anecdotal stuff at least, applies sort of to last year, but given that this whole global warming farce is sort of predicated on the idea that over the past several decades the temperature's been gradually rising, it still applies. Now, let's get into this. Just use logic. Do you believe in man-made global warming? Well, you shouldn't. Why? You don't need a huge think tank to see through the propaganda. Here's how to figure out the truth for yourself. Number 1, and remember this applies to last year. Have you looked at your own outside thermometer? Record lows and snowstorms abound, and they have pictures of some of the snowstorms that were going on last winter. Number 2, 7th grade physics shows that CO2's molecular weight makes it very heavy. It can't rise high enough to cause the greenhouse effect. Yes, there is a greenhouse effect, but it's mostly caused by water vapor. H2O is much lighter than CO2. Number 3, college freshman statistics will show you that the error rate in temperature samples used is greater than the claimed temperature rise. Oh, how convenient is that? Number 4, glaciers in Greenland have recently been shown to be getting thicker, not thinner. Same with Antarctic ice, which is never mentioned by warming alarmists, or as I like to call them, Gaia cultists. Number 5, stories of polar bears declining are lies according to our own government's figures. Number 6, CO2 is plant food. When the earth was young, there was very little free oxygen. It was poisonous to the few life forms here, primitive bacteria and plants. It increased to today's levels partly as exhaust from plants and partly from a few comets who were, of course, just visiting. Number 7, clearing of forests happens only when governments own the forest. Private ownership of forests results in cyclical growing and cutting. They don't waste the economic value of their own land. Take a look at the huge forests in Georgia and Florida owned by Weyerhaeuser and other lumber companies. Yes, the profit motive, my lovely little socialist idiots, is the primary reason why forests are regrown and then recultivated, because there is incentive. Say it with me, incentive. Number 8, Sunspot activity is in a cycle in which it reduces warming radiation from the sun. This is actually causing a cooling cycle. Number 9, what about recent record cold temperatures and snowstorms? That's referring you again to number 1. Why is it that the big scares always mean big profits for companies connected to governments? Example, GE, General Electric, owns NBC, which is scaring us. But GE makes big dollars from sales of generators, nuclear, windmills, and solar to governments. That's right, my friends. The profit motive is driving your ideology. I'm speaking, of course, to you little green nut jobs. Number 11. Those who want us to completely change our lives are immune. How about Al Gore making his millions, driving his SUVs, owning several energy inefficient homes, plura, so to speak, or etc. He tells us to stop using gas while he is private jetting around to give big money speeches. Number 12, we're supposed to forget similar false fears. Many of the same companies made big money off the ozone layer scam. Remember that one? It is also proven false. But the media, which scared us about it, has remained silent. Instead, they come up with a new scary theory. You see, the media, they're very scary people. You don't need horror movies anymore. Just turn on MSNBC. Trust me. Classic grade A vintage horror. Number 13 here. About 7 years ago, the same government-connected scientists and insiders were trying to scare us with the coming ice age. Remember that? Actually, it was more recent than that. You remember the day after tomorrow, global warming was going to cause a giant ice storm? Priceless. Number 14. Volcanoes and the ocean are by far larger sources of CO2 and other greenhouse gases. Many, many, many multiples of the amounts we exhaust. Furthermore, now, contrary to what some of you morons in the global warming cult think, I care very much about the environment. I particularly care when we spew a lot of sulfur up into the air. Now, let me give you some statistics here, just in case you're not really getting your brains around this one. The total combined exhaust of every car on this planet is equal to 19 of the shipping ships that we have out sailing on the sea delivering all of this stuff around, which burn really low efficient fuel. And you want to know how many boats we have out on the sea burning up all this crap? Tens of thousands. All right. Now, take all of the cars on the planet, multiply it by 1,000 divided by 19, which would be a couple hundred, basically. Let's put it that way. Over 100. So over 100 times the total amount of every car exhaust being put up in the air, sulfur I'm speaking here, which is the cause of acid rain, is being put up by ships on the sea. And who owns these ships? Primarily large corporations and governments. We can only imagine what a lot of the ships in the military are putting up in the air. But again, I'm digressing. Back to the 15th and final one. 15. NASA was actually caught faking warming data. They simply copied September temperatures and submitted the same figures for October. They then claimed October was the hottest it's been in decades. So, if global warming is true, why fudge figures? I am very skeptical when someone, especially a government insider, is trying to scare me and grab my wallet at the same time. Fear is used to turn off the logical part of your brain. It makes you an easier mark. Yes, and let me just state for the record, politics is all about turning off your brain and turning on the fear. If you doubt this, watch the news for a couple of minutes and watch it while not stuffing your face with potato chips and thinking about the latest sports statistics. Actually think about what you're watching. So, beware of the scare. Don't believe officials just because of their title. Just think for yourself, please. And then there's a whole litany of comments by people who've read this article and were actually using their noggins when they were reading this article. And I hope that you will do that too, and you will realize that you so-called atheists out there, I know not all of you who believe in global warming are atheists, but those of you who are, finally come to terms with the fact that you're a bunch of religious pagans worshiping the earth as if it were some sort of panentheistic god. All right? So you got a religion of your own here, you're following it very religiously. QED.